Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Mr. Sultan. Thank you for allowing me to have a look at your portfolio in a bit of detail here. I'm going to try and give you some feedback the best I can on your progress so look far. At the back page here seems to show us that you have everything intact. So everything that appears on this paper should actually be a part of your portfolio. So for example, in week number 2, you have here, let's see, the weekly sheet, which has work, places, jobs, and an introduction. The introduction I think was a recording, so we should see a recording here in your portfolio for that week. So what we can see here is that for week number 2, Mr. Sultan, there seems to be your error correction is here. We've identified error correction as one of the assignments that we wanted to have inside. You have here included in that your introduction. So introduction is there, and likewise you have another piece that is here, which has not been identified on your weekly cover sheet. So what I would suggest is that if we're going to do some alternative exercises as part of the portfolio, then we identify them here, for example, on these sheets, for example, that are going to be at the start of the week. So week 3, your name, my name, the date, or whatever. These things that you have listed here, which should also be listed likewise on the portfolio checklist, should find themselves into the actual portfolio. So then for week number 3, this is the last piece that we saw here in week number 3, which had some questions which you answered here in an audio clip, and we appreciate you including that link to the audio. But what I would advise you to do, Sultan, I've made some corrections here. I've given you some advice on things that you need to do to sort out what you've written. But what I'm looking for from you, Sultan, is that you not write what you want to say. If you'd like to write it or memorize it or whatever, you don't have to include it here in the portfolio. I'm not asking you to write questions and then answers, but rather try to speak as naturally as possible about the things that we want you to be thinking about, questions, whether it's a dialogue between you and another person or what have you. Then we don't want you to read that into the microphone, but rather we want you to try your best to speak. So that survey that we were looking for in week number 3 actually appears here in week number 4. I think that's okay because somehow in week 3 we decided to use something else for the survey. So I think what's important is that if something appears here in the portfolio, that it's just labeled properly, dated, and that it appears on the actual weekly log here, as well as on your portfolio checklist. Yeah, so that's important, that whatever you've labeled as part of your portfolio, that it's actually inside. Okay. Week number 5. Okay. Week number 5 here, we have here, Sultan, a number of things, a family tree, speaking about your family tree. Now the riddle which we wanted you to do included here looked a bit different from what you've recorded here. So how about you have a look at some of your classmates' riddles and listen to the audio that I sent you. That's a bit different from what you've written here. So I'd have a look at that if I were you. I appreciate you giving us some information about your family and sending us the video, which was upside down when I watched it. But that's okay. I was more interested in hearing what you had to say.